Hey Bob, did you hear? We're getting a real beauty joining our office soon.
How many times has this topic come up today? While thinking this, I sigh. My name is Bob Tyler. I work as a salesperson at a trading company. Right now, our department is buzzing about a certain topic. It seems we're getting a new boss, taking over from the one who just retired, and this new boss is supposedly quite the looker. The men are thrilled about the prospect of having a beautiful boss, and the women seem to mix admiration and expectation for a capable career woman. Doesn't it seem like everyone's getting a bit too excited?
What's the matter, Bob? Aren't you happy? A beautiful boss, man, a beautiful boss.
One of my colleagues says with a grin. Of course, I'm curious about what kind of person the new boss will be. But to be honest, the fact that she's beautiful or anything like that, I really couldn't care less. That's because, ever since I joined this department, the previous boss drilled sales know-how into me. He was great at his job and looked after us well. Despite my coming from a poor background and starting work right after high school, he never looked down on me and nurtured me as a professional. It's inevitable that such a boss would retire, but I can't help feeling lonely without him. The previous boss was so good. I hope I can get along with the new one. So, I was feeling pretty mixed up about it all. The next day, the rumored female boss, whom we'll call Lisa, arrived.
I'm Lisa, and I'll be leading this department from today. Looking forward to working together, everyone.
As expected, she was quite a looker with a style that screamed professionalism. The team was buzzing, almost like a festival, and the welcome atmosphere was in full swing.
I've had a brief handover, so I know a little about you all. I hope we can get to know each other better and gradually infuse this place with some of my own style. So please come along with me.
She seems nice, doesn't she? If there was a handover from the previous boss, everything should be fine. Since there was a handover, she probably knows I only have a high school education. I don't feel inferior about my educational background, but I know some people don't think highly of it. However, I've worked hard to become a decent salesperson since my rookie days, and my sales numbers have been gradually increasing. I don't want to be judged negatively for things unrelated to my sales performance, like my education. Hoping that Lisa isn't like that, I welcome the new system. From there, it was business as usual. People went to meetings with clients or worked on their paperwork. Everyone was focused on their own tasks. Man, I'm getting thirsty. Maybe I'll grab a coffee. Thinking this, I stood up and headed to the vending machine. While I was drinking my coffee, Lisa approached me. Good work today. I figured I should at least say hello, instead of staying silent.
Bob, can I talk to you for a sec? I heard during the handover that you only finished high school. Is that true?
Yeah, well, my family's been struggling financially for a long time, and I have a lot of siblings, so I had to start working. As I spoke, Lisa laughed condescendingly and said,
I'm surprised. I thought this company was quite big. But to think that someone with just a high school education works here?
Is there a problem with that? I must have looked annoyed at that moment. But she continued without care.
Oh, I'm sorry if I offended you. It's just that among many employees with excellent educational backgrounds, your high school education stands out.
With all due respect, I believe that educational background doesn't necessarily relate to one's work performance. Could you please not judge me based solely on that? It might sound cheeky to talk back to a superior, but that's just who I am. If something seems off, I speak up, just like I always have. It might rub some people the wrong way, especially coming from a younger guy, but others have respected me for being assertive. It's really a matter of compatibility. However, my straightforward nature has often been valued in negotiations and has led to many contracts. The previous boss also said that it could be a strong asset if used in the right context. Apparently, Lisa didn't have a good impression of me, as she seemed visibly annoyed.
I don't like to say this, but isn't that attitude unacceptable? Or is it because you only finished high school that you don't know any manners?
Pa, no way, then's no understanding her. From day one of Lisa's tenure, we were at odds. After that, Lisa was overtly harsh towards me. Being competitive myself, I clashed with her day after day. Sometimes to the extent that it made others uneasy.
Really, why are high school grads like this? Always so confrontational, it's disruptive.
No, I'm actually getting my work done. Can you stop making it seem like everything wrong is because I'm a high school grad? At this point, even others started stepping in to mediate. It felt like the epitome of being at loggerheads. Then, on a day off, I went for a run to relieve some stress. A short distance from my place, then's a decent-sized park with a running track inside. Back in my school days, being part of the sports team, I used to jog around this park often as part of my training routine. But since becoming a working adult, with the job keeping me busy, I've gradually cut down on my running sessions. Been a while since I ran, and I feel like my stamina's taken a bit of a hit. As I entered the park, a man called out to me,
"Hey, isn't that Bob? Long time no see."
"Terrell, it's been a while." His name was Terrell, and he was my running buddy. He's much older than me, but he's so youthful, you wouldn't even notice the age gap, making him one of the people I can easily talk to. He seems to really like me and always addresses me with warmth. "Terrell, are you still running every day?"
"What else is there to do? Besides, I love running just like you, Bob."
I wonder what Terrell does for a living. He always dodges the question. He runs every weekday morning, so I guess he might be self-employed or something. I've asked about his job a few times, but he always says it's nothing worth talking about because it's embarrassing. Well, I didn't want to pry too much into his private life, so I never pushed further. Afterward, we just shot the breeze while completing a lap of the course and then took a break to hydrate.
"Bob, you seem a bit down today. Is work not going well?"
Can you tell? Yeah, just having some issues with people at work."
"When you're working, it's often relationships that cause trouble. I get it, young man."
Terrell listened to my complaints with exaggerated nods. Being constantly taunted by Lisa about being a high school grad, always clashing with her and feeling frustrated, Terrell listened quietly, nodding, I see.
"Well, education doesn't really matter once you start working. In fact, there are people who only finished high school and still made it big in business."
Exactly. And yet, she keeps harping on about me being a high school grad. The previous boss never did that. I know dwelling on the past won't help, but feeling anxious about continuing to work in this environment, I'm unsure what to do next.
"Look, Bob, I also think it's wrong to judge people by their education. But maybe you and the boss are only focusing on the parts you don't like about each other."
Terrell suggested that just as I had reasons for starting work after high school, Lisa might have her reasons for being overly concerned with academic qualifications. I had never heard such things directly from her. No, our relationship was too strained for such conversations in the first place. But you're right, Terrell. I should try to have a proper talk with her.
"Yeah, that's the spirit. All right, ready for another lap.
After that, we continued to run and sweat it out. The next day, as soon as I arrived at work, I went to see Lisa. Lisa, can we talk?
Oh, I actually wanted to talk to you too, Bob. Could you consider leaving the company today?
What? I was stunned by her sudden request. Why should I leave the company? Was there a serious mistake in my work? Confused, I asked her for the reason.
Honestly, I just don't think we'll ever get along. Every time we see each other, it ends in an argument, and the constant emotional backlash is destroying our team's cohesion.
With all due respect, that's because you're always so harsh, making me react emotionally. And if you keep criticizing my education, of course I'll want to defend myself. The argument continued for a while. It was clear that no matter how much we talked, we couldn't reach an understanding, and I couldn't see us reconciling. Continuing under these circumstances seemed impossible. All right, I understand. As you wish, I'll resign. So, I ended up quitting my job. I really liked this job. Being in sales, I got to meet all kinds of people. Having started working right after finishing high school, every day was full of new experiences for me. For now, I decided to take it easy while using up my paid leave. But within a week, Lisa contacted me.
Bob, come back to the office right now.
What's going on all of a sudden? She explained that the clients I had been handling wanted to reconsider their contracts, all at once. It turned out they had continued their business because I was in charge, and with me gone, they wanted to review their dealings.
The CEO is asking for you to come back. It's odd, considering I was the one who suggested you leave. But could you consider returning to the company?
After all this, honestly, I don't feel confident about working with you. I regret saying such a thing, realizing it might lead to another argument. However, Lisa's response was unexpectedly different.
I understand. I know you have grievances against me, so I'd like to have a proper conversation.
Taken aback by her reply, I wasn't sure how to respond. Of course, just before leaving, I had thought the same, so it was something I had hoped for. Regardless, I decided to return to the company once more. The next day, as soon as I visited the department, Lisa and I were immediately called into the CEO's office. In the office, I was surprised to see a familiar face sitting on the sofa.
Hey, Bob. Good to see you.
Terrell. Why was Terrell here? With Lisa's change in attitude, everything was making me more confused. The CEO began to explain.
Terrell is the president of one of our major clients.
Well, I tend to be quite free-spirited, so I'm not often at the company. It's no wonder Bob didn't know me.
I was shocked by this revelation. Then, Terrell, who had always been smiling, turned serious and addressed Lisa.
Lisa, I don't understand why you're fixated on his educational background, but he has been performing admirably as a salesperson. He may be strong-willed, but I can see that he is an important member of your team, right?
Lisa nodded without objection to Terrell's words.
And Bob, as I said before, if you want to build a good relationship, you need to understand the other person. Sometimes that means controlling your emotions and staying calm. If you are aware of your responsibilities as a professional, you shouldn't dwell on the past, but focus on the present.
He was right. I had been unconsciously fixated on how things were with the former boss. So instead of trying to earn Lisa's trust, I found myself constantly focused on negating things. I reckon.
There's still much to be done, but you both know what you need to prioritize now, right?
Terrell asked this with a gentle smile, as if speaking to children who had just made up after a fight.
May I have a moment to speak privately with Bob?
I'd like that too, please. Our request was met with approval from both Terrell and the CEO. Afterward, we moved to the reception room.
How about I treat you to a drink? Coffee good for you?
Yes, thanks. I took coffee from Lisa, and we sat facing each other. But not knowing how to start the conversation, silence lingered. In the midst of the awkwardness, Lisa broke the silence.
First, I want to apologize for dismissing your education. I'm truly sorry.
No, it's me who should apologize. I got too emotional and said some presumptuous things. It was a step toward mutual understanding. I asked Lisa why she had been so critical about my education.
My brother also left school after high school because he didn't want to study and just wanted money to play around.
Lisa shared this with a somewhat sad expression. Her brother started working right after high school but quit his job within a month due to his indulgent nature. Since then, he hasn't worked much and is still living off their parents.
He unashamedly says that it's natural for parents to take care of their children. That's why I had a bad impression of people who only finished high school.
It was understandable for Lisa to feel this way after witnessing such behavior up close. However, I am different from her brother. Lisa, I chose to work after high school to support my family, to make our lives a bit easier. Please understand that. As we shared more about ourselves, misunderstandings began to clear. Towards the end, we even shared personal stories with smiles, venting to each other, showing how much we had come to understand one another. Now I understand the extent of Lisa's efforts and how she climbed to her current position. Lisa, I think I can follow you now, so please, trust me.
You know, I've realized how much you've achieved in this sales department. What matters is not the education but the person. Can I count on your abilities once again?
Yes, of course. That's how we finally came together. Returning to the company, I first visited each client I was responsible for, apologizing for the recent upheaval and requesting to resume our dealings. Thanks to the trust I had built up over time, we managed to restart the transactions. For Terrell, Lisa and I personally thanked him, and we pledged to continue ramping things up together.
It's great to see former adversaries joining hands and working together.
Terrell exaggeratedly expressed his emotion as if watching a scene from a comic, making us both smile wryly. A year has passed since then.
To all the new hires, listen up. Your educational backgrounds vary, which is expected. But remember, academic prestige doesn't matter when everyone starts from the same line, so give it your all.
Lisa, nailing it with style. Words I couldn't have imagined from her a year ago. At the start of the new fiscal year, Lisa addressed the newly assigned recruits with these encouraging words. I couldn't help but smile at how much had changed.
Hey Bob, as a leading figure in our department, don't just stand there smiling. Get to work.
I am working. If you show such strictness on the first day, you'll scare the newbies, you know. Well, our light-hearted arguments are still the same. It's a sign of the trust we've established. It's become somewhat of a departmental tradition, not to create tense vibes, but rather to lighten the atmosphere and keep things upbeat. And so, our sales team continues to enjoy peaceful days,